Okay, so this is Robert, and this is hopefully going to be the first power up test, or it may be the Big Bang. We don't know. But anyway, I did some repeat testing. Hopefully, you can see that. Yeah, okay. So here's the dim bulb tester. Here's my Variac. Uh, I ended up having to rewire the Variac. It was indeed stepping up 120 volts to 240, so it would only go around to the 40% mark here, and that's where I was hitting 120 volts. So I had to take it apart and rewire it. When I did, it was backwards, so uh, it started at full voltage and went down. So I had to flip the connections around to where I hope I'm good now. But I've put some little test points on the capacitor board so that I can check the supplies easier. And what I'll do is I've got an IEC plug on this cord going into the back of the amplifier, and I'm slowly gonna just turn it up. And nothing's happening. So, not sure why. Let's see if it's switched on. Still nothing. Ah, I know. Yes, well, I hooked everything up except I forgot to plug in the and so now we should hopefully see a response. Nothing? Interesting. So I'm plugged in. Let's see, is it just that supply? Okay, something is wrong. Getting no power. Helps if you put fuses in the unit before you try and power it up. And I wanted to talk to you about the process of troubleshooting the amplifier. As you saw at the end of the last section, I figured out that the fuse was wrong, or that there were no fuses in the unit. I had put the switch in and soldered everything up, but I forgot to put fuses in the switch unit. And that's this unit right here. So just wanted to talk to you through the process. What I ended up doing was taking DC readings at all four supply outputs on the two-channel capacitor boards for the power supply, and discovered there was absolutely no DC coming out of these. They just weren't getting any power. So I figured I'd jump upstream. I doubted it was the rectifiers. I doubted it would be the transformers. So I pretty much jumped right to the input of the unit. So apparently, so I had to troubleshoot back to the input jacks. I found or the AC power jack here on the back. And interestingly enough, I got no power at this point. I'm on the jumper between the fuses, fuse and the power switch. And I tried the power switch in both positions. Nothing would happen. And that's when I realized it's got to be the fuse. So that's the only thing between the IEC socket and the switch. And sure enough, I had not put fuses in it. But anyway, now if you look, you notice I have the red terminal on the hot line there, and the black terminal on the neutral. And when we power it up, you'll see that it comes right up now. And there's our 117 volts AC. So we're doing fine there. So once I did that, once I got the fuse in and it did that, I realized, oh, well, there we go. So the next step was checking the voltages on the unit. And so we switched to DC on the meter. And I have a little ground loop here I hook onto. And right now the voltages are high because the caps are all charged. There are resistors here to discharge them, but they're fairly high value, because you could go with a lower value resistor, which would mean higher current draining the caps, but those resistors would get pretty hot all the time the amplifier's in use. So they're a fairly high value. I forget what they are exactly. I think they're like 100 ohm or higher. So once I saw that I had AC power, I hooked up back up to the output of the capacitor boards, and I started creeping the variac up slowly while watching the meter. And you should see a gradual, slow climb in voltage with hopefully no bangs or pops. And you keep an eye on the dim bulb tester. Make sure it's not glowing, starting to light up. And what I did at first was brought it up to a low level. So I brought it up to 10 volts, which is a third of the actual supply voltage. And then to be safe, I went around and checked all of the supplies to make sure that they were even and symmetrical. They had output. And I also went through and was touching my rectifiers, being careful not to touch anything else, because these the heat sinks may or may not be hot. I have no insulation on them. So, smelled for smoke, no problems. So let's go up further. So we'll go up to 20 volts. Okay. back through. Check our 4 supply outputs. And those look good. So things are looking well behaved, so we'll go all the way up to target supply, 32 volts. And we'll jump down here. Good. The negative supply left channel is 32. The positive supply left channel is 32. Jump over to the right channel. Negative right channel is 32. Positive right channel is 32. They're gonna vary a little, just due to capacitors and resistor tolerances. But everything is there. Nothing's getting hot. No smoke. No sparks. No lethal voltages where they shouldn't be. But this is good to see. I have all my supplies now. And the next step will be I will probably hook up amp boards one at a time, bring them up, and check for offset and so on, rather than trying to deal with 2 at once. That'll allow me to use the single meter, rather than trying to find my old meter that I've had for decades. Okay, so I've got the LEDs all in right. You can see there are 2 reds and 2 blues. The blues are going to go on the front panel because the classic first watt units always have 2 blue LEDs on the front. So I thought I'd emulate that, and then the standard red status LEDs will stay there. Hopefully that's coming out in this. It looks pretty small from here. Let's go in. See if I can move this down. There, how's that? Well, anyway, we have our 4 symmetrical voltages still, and everything's looking good. Let's see here over on the meter. We're averaging about 32 volts per rail, exactly where we should be. So I'm pretty happy. So I think this will conclude this video. The next time we'll be powering up the amp boards and getting them biased. Hopefully I can do that live. If it looks too fussy, I may just have to cut back in afterwards. Hopefully I can at least go through the procedure with you folks. But anyway, I hope this, I'm happy. I mean, I've got half the darn thing working now after a year of procrastination and waiting for parts and other things. So yeah, things are looking good. And hopefully I'll actually be able to heat the living room with this soon. Anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate you all tuning in. And please like and subscribe. We'll see you later. Bye.